Hi, everybody. I'd like to welcome you here and thank you for watching right up front. I'd like to say that this is my first actual process video of acrylic paint pouring that I plan to put on my brand new YouTube channel, Serendipity Soul Acrylic Art. My name is Jan. It's a pleasure to be here. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've always been a creative at heart. I love to paint, especially acrylics and watercolor. But during the past year, I've faced a few challenges health wise and had quite a bit of downtime to reflect on the things that do bring me joy. And I kept coming back to art. And I kept seeing amazing videos on YouTube from acrylic artists that were introducing me to a new art form called acrylic pouring. There are so many styles of pouring that I've been absolutely fascinated by it, and I've been studying and learning and practicing at home. And hopefully, I'll be able to share my work with you and put a little bit of beauty back out into the universe. I chose the name Serendipity Soul for my channel because serendipity is a word that means a lot to me. It means finding something beautiful and something unexpected. And I think that's the essence of what acrylic pouring is. It's beauty, it's joyful, and no two paintings are ever going to be alike. As I said, I was pretty much a traditional painter in the past, just for purely pleasure purposes and for gifts, and just to express myself in ways that I felt like were meaningful to me and maybe meaningful to someone else. So I hope this channel will be meaningful to you, and I hope that we can grow together, learn together, share our thoughts, ideas, and our processes with each other, and grow from that experience. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and begin work on my first project. I've been inspired by an artist by the name of Jilly Kubi. She is an Australian artist. She lives in Queensland, and she has a Jilly Pour kind of named theme that she does a lot of work with. If you haven't seen her work, please look her up on YouTube. Again, her name is Jilly, Gilly, Kubi, Kube. And she and Julie Cutts, who is another Australian painter that I really admire, really have some beautiful styles. And they're able to bring up gorgeous cells and express a lot of whimsy, a lot of, to me, it just feels like expressionism at its finest, really. Their paintings, caused me to take pause myself, find myself staring at them and kind of imagining so many different things. But I'm really inspired by what Julie does and what Julie Cutts does. Julie's channel is Pouring Your Heart Out, and really that is what we do when we're working on our paintings. I try to be simplistic in the things that I'm doing up front, and want to learn the craft from the basics up. And I've been doing some experiments here at home in the past few weeks. Right now I'm just putting a very light base of white down just to help my paint move when I do load my canvas with my colors. But for now, I just want to kind of learn how to do some of the most simple types of pours. But Julie's absolutely fascinates me, and I don't know if I can do this or not, but she incorporates the swipe technique on her paintings, and swiping across the top of paint that you already have laid down and that has moved together, causing the cells to rub together and to create a reaction, which is what gives you the cells within the cells, is absolutely fascinating to me. It blows my mind what we can cause paint to do and how it can change. It literally morphs into something that is absolutely beautiful, and I want to be able to create that and do that. There's a couple of other artists out there that really inspire me as well. Canela Caraco is one of them in Canada. Renske Dauna in the Netherlands is another one. There are so many I can't even begin to name them all, but they are some that I've found myself studying more and more and more. And I just really hope that anything that I put on a canvas might come somewhat close to the level of work that they do. I'm gonna rinse my hands right quick and I'll be right back. Thankfully, my sink is close by because I don't have a studio in my home yet. I'm preparing to uh, convert my oldest son's bedroom into a workspace that I can use. But for now, I'm just using the bar in my kitchen. Um, I want to, now that I've laid just a very, very thin layer of white down, I need to get rid of the bubbles that are in here. So I'm just using a creme brulee uh, gun, heat gun, to pop those bubbles because I don't want bubbles in my painting, and I don't want my painting to crack. I have had that happen a couple of times, and I don't want that happening again. So just lightly heating that. Um, the colors that I'm going to be using today, I'm really inspired by bright, beautiful colors. I mixed up a navy with a combination of ultramarine blue. All of these are Liquitex Basics, by the way, and black. I'm also going to be using dioxazine purple, a little bit of brilliant purple, a little bit of quinacridone magenta, a little bit of medium magenta, and for some extra contrast, I'm putting in some unbleached titanium white. I've used your basic titanium white as my base coat. I pre-mix all of my colors into, I try to recycle bottles and use up the plastic waste that we have in our home. I also recycle things like salad containers, salad dressing containers, things like that. So I'm just not wasting a bunch of plastic. But I mix my pouring medium as 70% Elmer's Glue All, 30% water. I have found that to be absolutely fabulous. I have used Floetrol a little bit, and I do occasionally put a little bit of Floetrol in some of the pours that I'm doing. But I also use a cut water, 90% water and 10% Floetrol, to mix any paints that are just a little bit thicker than I want them to be for my pours. So it's a learning process. It's a learning curve, but I have kind of found that that's been a recipe, for lack of better words, that I keep going back to that tends to work well for me. For my pours this time, because I'm going to be doing what I'm calling a Jilly pour, for like I said, for lack of better words, I'm going to be mixing just a little bit of silicone oil. For this amount, I'm only putting 2 drops per container. And I've already pre-mixed these paints, so you didn't have to sit here and watch me do this. I do a 50-50 ratio of my Liquitex Basics paints to my pouring medium. Depending on the color of the paint, it is sometimes a bit too thick. I found that especially true to be with this titanium or unbleached titanium. It was a bit thick, so I had to add just a little bit more of my water and Floetrol mix. I need to mix in my quinacridone magenta a little, 2 drops of, actually, gosh, that turned out to be 3. That dripped a bit. A little bit of the silicone. And honestly, I don't buy treadmill silicone on Amazon. I just saw so many people pouring with things like OGX coconut oil that I decided that's a whole lot cheaper, a whole lot more accessible to me. And I was buying most of my paint supplies at Walmart anyway. Although Michael's is my go-to place for my paints, of course. But I mean, things like Elmer's Glue All, and I do buy distilled water instead of using tap water because I'm on a well here at my home. I live in rural Southwest Virginia, so I don't have town or city water. I have well water. Therefore, I also have a little bit of calcifications in my water. So I don't want that to cause any damage in my paintings in the future. So I already had some dioxazine purple mix, so I just had to add a little bit to that. So I'm not adding any more, well, maybe 1. I might add 1 more drop of silicone oil in there. But my navy, which will also be my swipe color, because Jilly incorporates mixing her colors on her palette and then swiping over them, and then also sometimes balloon kissing them to create a very whimsical, beautiful look, kind of a fairy tale look in hers. Now that is still just a little bit thick, just a little bit of the water and Floetrol ratio will really make a difference in that. A little bit goes a long way. And anytime you add anything into your paint, stir, stir, stir. You are going to get air bubbles, and that's the reason for using the heat gun, because air bubbles can cause pits and dents in your paintings that you really, really, really don't want. You spend a lot of time making something beautiful and you don't want to ruin it. Now that I've got all my silicone added into my paints, let's get started. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, I forgot one thing. 1 minute, let me get me a couple of paper towels. Lay those down there so when I swipe with the other paper towels, I don't drip everywhere. And I need to go get my balloon. I apologize, I'm usually a little bit better organized, but it'll take me a second. Okay. Just your average balloon. Now I want to load my colors. Jilly tends to pour, just rapidly pours all over because I already have a little bit of white on here and I want the white to be contrast. I'm just going to use my stick to kind of load colors, and I want to go over the edges because I do want them to drip and to cover the edges. And hopefully I can get this paint to move side to side in a few minutes. Once I add all of my colors, it's just a process to get the paint on the canvas where you want it. Just using your eye to kind of flow where you want your paint to go. And just let your imagination run wild. And that's what I love about this process, is that you can just do anything you want to do on a canvas. Really kind of just express your inner child. My gosh, there's already cells coming up on here just by adding this little bit of paint on here. Okay. Let's go for something very bright and very pretty to contrast with that. Let's go with our quinacridone magenta. Love this color. Love, love, love this color. This and teal are probably two of my favorite colors. And in a minute, you're going to see, once I get the paint loaded on the canvas, you're going to see that we can move the canvas around, get the colors to shift a little bit. They're going to move against that white and move against each other. Since I have them loaded on this canvas, they will move and cause more sellage to start popping out. I want to layer over some of these larger center areas where I have the bigger blobs of color, and hopefully can get something bright and beautiful to come out of this. I really feel like the colors are just going to really complement each other. I'm moving slowly because, one, I'm scared to death I'm going to make a mess, and two, I feel like somebody's watching me, and oh, you guys are watching me, but I just want to see what I can do with this. I have not tried this particular style before, and I thought, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Stop being a chicken Jan and get in there and pour your canvases and make something pretty, and let's see what can happen. The worst that can happen is I've got to scrape my canvas and start over, but I hope that doesn't happen. I want some areas in here that have a little more bold color, a little bit more right there, a little more through here. I mean, as you guys can see, I mean, I only mixed up about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces of paint per color. I mean, a little bit literally goes a long way. Don't be afraid to use too much paint. A lot of people get a little bit bent out of shape. This is my Brilliant Purple. Get a little bit bent out of shape about all of these colors that get poured off, well, you have to have enough paint on your canvas to move it around. I've tried to be a little stingy a couple of times, and my canvases have suffered for it. So what I've started doing, I don't know if you can tell by my workspace, but around here there's definitely different colors. Any pour off that I have once I do a painting, I just leave it sitting there, and it makes what is called skins. And I have lots of plans for those skins, because sometimes the skin that's left from your poured paint is as pretty or sometimes even prettier than the canvas that you've just created. And a lot of people make things like jewelry, um, magnets, lots of different things. There's lots of ideas and things that we can do out there to make something gorgeous. Now I want one more lighter contrast color, so I'm going to put just a little bit of this unbleached titanium in here. And give it just a little bit of contrast with that white. I wish I had more pearl white, because I think pearl white really gives a gorgeous shimmer to these canvases, but I think that's enough. Now, because all of this is loaded on here, and I can see areas where there is a little bit of bubbles in there, I want to go ahead and just do a little bit of heating so that I'm not fighting the air bubbles after I swipe. I want to get these colors, stabilized, for lack of a better word, on my canvas before I swipe. Oh my gosh, you guys, I know my camera is horrible. I apologize. I'm literally using my, that's my husband's ringtone. I apologize. I'm literally using my kitchen, and I'm using my tablet, the camera that's on my tablet right now, because I don't have a camera stand that I can put my phone on. Hope to have that in the works fairly soon. My lighting's not the best either, but now that that's sitting there, my gosh, the cells in this, honestly, I don't even know if I want to touch this right now and swipe over it. It's so pretty, but I definitely need to tip it and move it around a little bit. So let me do that. I have just some cups down underneath this. I want to do this very gently. I have the back of my canvas taped off, and a lot of times I use push pins, but for some reason these particular canvases have been hard to get a push pin in, and I don't know why, but they really are, and I've not had good success. Oh my goodness, you guys, the colors on this are flipping gorgeous. I'm not going to worry so much about my corners as I am. I just want to get some of this paint to run down over the edges. I can always tap my paint over the corners and get my corners fixed, but I want enough paint on this canvas that it's going to, when I go to put my swipe color on it, it's going to move easily and not cause a, just sort of a stain to sit there. I want that swipe color to help create cells later. Come down and touch this over the corner, bring this back to the center. Bring this back down over this edge again. I apologize, I know you can't see this very well. I guess I could turn this gently down. I'm so in love with this pattern. It's not even funny, but I want to make sure that my colors don't run the wrong way. I need to touch these corners and bring this over. My swipe's gonna fix anything that I might have here in a minute, but for now I just want to touch my edges, make sure that I've basically got the covers cornered and I don't have any like empty canvas patches that are not, just spot right there. Oh, these colors, gorgeous. I think there's more paint on that end than there is on this end, so I'm going to bring it back a bit. Okay, bear with me while I go rinse my hands again. I don't like gloves because I like to be able to feel the paint. I don't feel like I can control my canvas with gloves on. I've tried it, not a fan. So I figure if you're going to get dirty, do what you enjoy, right? I'm going to let those sit there before I swipe, and then I will use my heat gun to attempt to bring out some Gilly clusters. Dampening a paper towel while I'm over here. Oh gosh, while I'm over here, I see a spot that's really been missed. So I gotta get some paint on there. Okay. I apologize for the lack of professional video quality in advance. Just getting my acrylic pouring wings under me and learning the processes before I try to get too technical with my paintings. But this is just a damp paper towel. What you want to do, use this end and bring this up a little bit, is you want to use your paper towel. You just want to touch the edge of the paper towel into your painting and bring it across. Oh my gosh, you guys, I just created a newbie faux pas. Big time. Forgot to pour my slide color. Way to go, Jan. Let's try this again and hope it doesn't completely screw my painting up. But like I said, sometimes you may just have to make mistakes and learn from them and go back. But now I'm bringing the blue gently and slowly up across my painting. Just letting it follow the edge. Lay that to the side. Maybe it didn't ruin it. Please, Lord, don't let it have ruined it. But we'll see what happens. Right now, as you can see, some cells are already starting to pop up and working against that paint that I just rubbed over the top of it with the navy blue. So what I'm going to do is I don't have a big butane torch like Jilly does. I'm just going to come in and touch a few areas gently, let some clusters come up, and allow them to move and grow on their own and see what happens. You don't want to get too close to the canvas, and you don't want to hold it down for very long, because if you do, you're going to set your canvas on fire. So I don't care whether you're using a butane torch or whether you're using one of these small handheld torches. You have to be very careful about going in and touching heat to a canvas, because it is a canvas and it will go on fire. So let's see what happens. They're already really pretty cells coming up. It reminds me a little bit of a fairy tale forest, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens with these cells and to see if they grow. I see a couple of pitted areas, and that worries me a little bit. I think too much running action against my canvas may have caused me problems. This may be one I end up either pouring over or scraping. I don't know, but we'll have to see. I don't want pits. The pits are the pits. Probably shouldn't be doing this, but we'll see what happens. Really bothers me that all my colors, that I swiped over that before I put my blue down. So this may be an epic fail. I may have to put more paint over the top of it and try to swipe it again. None of my magenta, you know, the brilliant purple, the dioxazine purple, the blue, the white, and a little bit, but this right in here, I'm not liking that at all. When all else fails, add more paint. Got a base underneath it. So what can go wrong except a learning experience, all right? I'm not going to be hard on myself because I'm still new at this, but I'm going to cover this up. I'm going to put some more bright colors on top of it and see what happens when I move the paint one more time. This all still has silicone in it, so maybe the extra paint will help bring up some of these gorgeous colors. I kind of wish I had never even done this now because I think that the composition of the other colors before I moved it and before I torched it and then swiped it was really pretty. Very bright, very pretty. A lot of the things that I hope that I can do with my canvases will include embellishing them, and I'll show you a couple of examples that I've done after I get this part done. I'm just going to go ahead and use the rest of this because there's not that much in here. Oh, he's a persistent soul. I'll call him back in a minute. Newbie alert. Don't forget to turn your phone ringer on silent when you are creating a canvas. More of the dioxazine purple. I'm really liking those purples. There's just too much of that brilliant. I'm not going to add any more of the brilliant purple on here because there's plenty of it on here. I want contrast. I may put some white in this as well, just to see if I can bring up other cells. There's no silicone in my white, but there's plenty of silicone in the rest of this, so hopefully that will work. Go bold or go home, right? Actually, I think the quotes go big or go home, but bold is a B word, and it works for me today. All right, now let's do some contrast. Didn't want that much contrast. I have to pour that off, but see what happens when you get in a hurry and you get frustrated with yourself. A mistake happens. Sometimes mistakes are beautiful, sometimes they're not so beautiful, so we will see what happens with this one, but let me add a little bit of my pretty medium magenta in here to try to balance that out a little bit. And you know what? I am going to do a little bit of white. I pre-mix quite a bit of this. So I keep it in bottles because I use larger amounts of it on the bases of my canvas. Let's just see what happens here. Nothing else. I'm going to have quite a bit of skins. Let's go to this corner. This way. This way. This way. And bring it back down. Yeah, I'm going to have some pretty skins down under here. I can see that right now. Too much unbleached titanium. I'm going to tell it goodbye. Okay. Now, that's more like it. When all else fails, try again. All right. This time, I won't be forgetting my swipe color. Navy, just a thin line of it on one end. Over the edges. My paper towel unfurled here. Okay. Try again. Slowly. I think this might work better. May still be a little bit dark, but it's okay. I'll find something to do with it. Again, wanting to concentrate my little clusters and areas so that they can grow, and we'll see what they can form. Let it sit for a little while, and we'll see what grows out of this. Can you see that? I wanted to lift it so that you can see it. Men, they're persistent souls. Sorry. Look at those cells growing there. I don't know if you can see that very clearly or not, but I'm getting a lot of really pretty cell action growing in here. Not real thrilled with this corner right here. Take some of the runoff paint along off the sides. Back into there to stabilize it, but really, really pretty. A little cluster right there. A little bit right in here. I think the paint, I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I think I'm going to do a little bit of a balloon kiss right there. Look at that! See, when you have problem areas, this can really help. Just wipe your balloon. Press and release. Press and release. Look at that. It's like a little fairy tale happening on my painting. You could even, use this and put them over onto another canvas if you so desired, but I really want the corners to kind of pop because they tend to get a little boring, and I want the cells on the inside to really, really be pretty. So press and bring it back up. And onto that corner one more time. A little bit boring in that area. Press and release once more. And I think I want one right in the middle. Look at that. I'm so glad I poured over that. I really hope you can see these clusters. That white is really popping in the way this moves against each other. It's just gorgeous. There's a little too much paint right here. Try to pop that one more time. There we go. Now I'm going to heat this one more time. See if those clusters will move. And then let it sit here and breathe. Yeah, there's some gorgeous cells coming up in here. These purples and the fuchsias and the blues are just incredible. I'm really, really, really pleased with this one. Need to touch up my corners just a bit. Roll some of this paint down to cover a couple of little bare areas. But I'm liking the negative space aspect in a couple of spots. It's really, 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 really pretty. Yeah, there's a pit right there. Don't want that. And a pit right there. Don't want that either. But we'll see how this goes. I promised to show you a couple of things that I've been working on. So let me do that real quick. I don't want to keep you any longer because I've been talking quite a bit here and I don't want to bore anybody with what I'm doing. But I'm really excited to be learning and to being able to engage in these processes. And I'm really trying very hard to find something that works well for me, that is going to bring some beauty out into the world. I think we can't go wrong if we're doing that, and we're doing that collaboratively, especially because there's just so many beautiful things that I've seen out there that are blowing my mind. Just to think that I could be a part of a community that's doing these things still does kind of blow my mind. But everybody has been so welcoming to everybody that I've seen. I feel already very much a part of an art community that is global. Like I said, I watch several people from everywhere from Slovenia to the Netherlands to Germany to Australia, America, Great Britain. Art's a beautiful thing, and the language is universal. So hopefully we can all contribute and make some beautiful art. Recently, I did a couple of test pours on some 4x4 canvases. This was a Dutch pour inspired by Rinskedowne, as was this one. I varnished them with some crackle varnish. I'm sorry, the light keeps catching, but I'm not sure I'm liking the crackle varnish. I think I'm going to stick to my regular varnish. I recently did another Dutch pour combination on a smaller canvas. This is with Prussian blue, peach, white, and copper. And it moves well. I can't wait to see what this looks like once it's varnished. It's really, really pretty. Kind of ended up with a little bit of a blob of white right there in the middle, but I'm not hating it because it's got some gorgeous cells in it. And then the larger canvas that goes with this one is actually called Fire, because I'm going to hang it at an angle. The cells in it are really pretty. Same color scheme. And then I have another pour that I did that was sort of metallics and blues that I did purposefully to either be an ocean backdrop or a sky, and it looked more like a sky to me. So I've embellished it. My sister loves winter scenes, and our saying to each other is "love you to the moon and back." My sister has multiple sclerosis and she's homebound. She's very artistic. She's a photographer by trade, but is very limited in what she can do now. And I have a lot of great memories of walking through snow-covered woods with her in Germany when we lived there together. It was kind of our relaxation and our relief to go for long walks, enjoy the snow, and I love my sister to the moon and back. So I wanted to do something for her. She's getting ready to turn 50 years old. She's my baby, always was my first baby. My two boys that are my babies are 32 and 31 now, but this one's for her. I'm beginning to sort of get my wings under me with this, and hopefully I'll be able to put more videos out that you will enjoy and that we can share together. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a comment. I will make sure that I answer everything individually. If you like what I'm doing or what I'm attempting to do, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. Share my videos so that I can get a little bit more exposure. I do plan to try to build an Instagram page to be able to share my work with there too. I don't think I'm going to do Facebook because I have a very large Facebook profile with a lot of people on there. I think I'll share my links to Instagram to that page. But I also don't want to get overwhelmed with having to track social media. I just really, really am interested in doing some beautiful things and putting that work out there. But thank you again for taking the time to watch my video. Any comments or any words of wisdom or advice are greatly appreciated. But thank you in advance. I want you to know that I appreciate you and have a blessed day. Bye.